What's the idea of a car? Just let's strip it back to basics. Something that gets you and your family around relatively quickly, relatively affordably, and has lots of space and practicality. And when you look at the Skoda Octavia, now in Sportline trim, you can't really help but say to yourself, it could be the best car in the world. And let me explain that a bit, because it looks good. It's not going to offend anybody. But in Sportline, it's got a few nice touches that will keep the petrol head in you relatively happy. It's got a 600-litre boot. And in the past, you might vouch for the Superb over the Octavia because the boot was a little bit smaller, but not anymore. It's got leg room in the back that will keep any adult happy, and head height. It's got CarPlay, it's got bright LED headlights, it's got climate control, it's got an ice scraper still, and the umbrella, and bean counters in Skoda. If you're watching this, don't you ever touch that umbrella in the car, because it's fantastic. When you put it onto a package that's €40,000, and the Octavia starts from 30, I'll give you that. And it's a little bit annoying that it has fabric seats. It should probably have leather for that price. But I can't think of another car that can do just about everything as this Octavia. Some differences on the Sportline version: black mirror housing, upgraded alloy wheels, black grille, no chrome, black splitter around the front. And on the boot, there's a lovely big black lip spoiler. And even that kind of looks cool. You know, I challenge anybody to say it's ugly. It's not. It's got a nice clean presence around the back. LED indicators, which still have that lovely sweeping function on them. That looks good. It's got a premium vibe to a car that was once upon a time a car that, you know, was a cheaper product. Let's be fair, you even get a rear wiper on the back. Black Skoda lettering and Octavia lettering, and more black with a little bit of chrome on the bottom of the bumper for Sportline. And then there's that boot, and like, whether you're going to the dump or bringing the Christmas tree, carrying a pair of those dogs that Michael D. Higgins has, it just will do everything. And it's got an electric tailgate on it. So the only optional extra on this car that you see today is metallic paint. It's about 700 quid. One other thing that kind of flies in the face of Skoda being an affordable car is if you want a Sportline version, you can't get it in the 1 litre petrol. You have to get the 1.5 petrol, which this is with 150 brake horsepower, or the 2 litre diesel. So that's a bit of a catch. You know, you should, if Skoda are really true to what they're meant to be, you should be able to get the Sportline trim in all versions of it. And then there's the back. So you've got room for feet and knees, tons of it. You've got an armrest which has access to the rear boot. In fact, small kids can fit through that gap and hide in you in the back of the car. USB-C charging in the back. Extra pocket for your device down here. If there's two of you as adults, you play a board game on that. Like the width of it. Cup holders are in here. You just sit back and relax and enjoy the view. The shoulders in these seats are a little bit restrictive, perhaps. That's about it. Again, once upon a time you needed the Superb to have this kind of leg room in the back of it. Not anymore. If you're someone who likes to drink lots of water, extra space for storage. I've left a large 1.5 litre bottle in the door bin over there. Armrest is adjusting. Extra space down here. Whatever you need. You've got a sunglasses holder. They took that out of the Golf. That's still there. Manual. Now, you obviously can get a DSG gearbox if you like, but driving a manual car, I can't tell you how enjoyable that has been this week, just for a change. Great bright instruments. Hook up your CarPlay wirelessly, or you can charge it. There's 2 USB cables up here, further ports for that. There's wireless charging down below. Nice ambient lighting at night time. And you look around and it doesn't really feel like they've skimped. You've got a high quality finish on most of the touch points, shortcut buttons to things. And Here's the thing. I got into this car, full tank of juice. I think the range said 800 kilometers. It took me over 200 kilometers for that first point on the petrol gauge to move. And now I've done 338 and I'm still not halfway there, and I haven't been taking it easy. If you do take it easy, or you're on a motorway, the M50 for example, at 100 kilometers an hour, you will do 6 litres per 100 kilometers. And if you rag it a little bit, you'll probably see 9, somewhere between 9 and 10. And it shifts, it moves, again, it can overtake. It will do everything a car in real world terms ever needs to do. Some people might say to themselves, well, I'd love to have an automatic for that price, and there's no doubt you can get automatics for this and less depending on what car you're buying and what fuel it uses. But I've actually enjoyed, and I suppose you're probably not driving different cars every week, I've actually enjoyed having a manual, something you can engage in a bit more, something you can wind up a little bit more. It's the 6-speed, 150 brake horsepower, so there's plenty of poke in it. In fact, when I first got into this car and I hadn't checked my notes on it, there is a 1 litre petrol that actually works really, really well. A neighbour of mine has it, and he went from the 1.6 diesel into the 1 litre petrol and didn't have any complaints. It was like, there's enough. Now, it is a big car. If you load it up, you probably would want that extra brake horsepower from the 1.5. It's even a car I feel very comfortable buying a diesel in, because you just know there's always going to be a buyer for an Octavia. Doesn't matter what you do, it will just be there. Yeah, I'd rather if I was sitting in a leather seat again, or even just trimmed with a bit of leather, Alcantara, something like that. I mean, I know they're kind of bucket style seats, but they are fabric, and that's potentially a bit of a letdown. But beyond that, it's powerful, it handles well, you can push it on, there's a little bit of urgency if you work that 6-speed gearbox. You know, certainly second and third are very, very punchy. There's no blind spot on it, which, although it has frontal collision, again, Sportline model, you might expect that to have blind spots. So there's a couple of shortcomings there that, again, for the higher trim spec in the larger petrol engine, you'd just like to see there. But can it overtake? Yes. Will it do 700 to 800 kilometers on a single tank without stopping for 45 minutes, without worrying about where can I find a charger, which you can fill up in 5 minutes and be on your way again? The answer to all those questions with the Octavia is yes. And if you were to get the diesel, you're probably talking somewhere around 900 to 1,000 kilometers from a tank. I suppose you've got to thank the Mark I Octavia from the late 90s, because that was such a good car in a more simplistic form that future generations of the Octavia just had to keep setting the bar higher. So we should really all be very, very thankful to that first generation Octavia, I think, today, because that has made every other version the car that they are. I think price aside, and you know, it's a factor, you've got to touch on it. Price aside, they do put an awful lot into their cars, and that Simply Clever motto that they use, it's not just a marketing spiel from my perspective. And you can certainly see why taxi drivers especially just loved it, because it's a workhorse of a vehicle, and if you're not using it on a professional basis, I can see why you'd maybe want to go for a Sportline version of it. Although it took an awful long time for it to get here. The video I first did of this generation Skoda is almost 3 years ago. It's had over 300,000 views on YouTube from all around the world, from India, from Australia, like far-flung places, far away from Dublin anyway. And it just shows you the appeal of this car in so many different parts of the world. It's just got that basic thing in common, which is to just be a bloody good car. And that's where the Octavia sits for me. It's just bloody good. I wish I was telling you the Sportline starts at €35,000. That would be even a better story in the Octavia. But if I was buying a car with my own money tomorrow, I'd probably get a Combi Sportline, one of these in black, or maybe grey. I'm sorry to be that predictable, because I know I'd sell it all day long when I'm done with it. I know it would do everything I'd need it to do when it comes to kids and their bikes and dogs. I know I could clean it, dress the tyres, chamois it off, and I could go to a wedding in it and it would look smart. And it truly is all the car you'd ever need. Thanks for watching.